Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and we're going to take a look at the astrological weather for the week of December 7th through 13th. And our main things this week, we're building up to the apex of a lot of energy coming in. And this week is like prepping us somewhat for the storm of that apex coming in the next couple weeks. So some interesting stuff coming this week, and mainly highlighted by Pluto's final square to Eris, and then also both the Sun and Mercury are going to square Neptune this week, and some other stuff going on too. And then next week comes the eclipse, comes Chiron going direct, and then we're going to have Jupiter and Saturn both going into Aquarius, and then the following week on the solstice we will get the Jupiter Saturn great conjunction at 1 degrees Aquarius, and some really powerful stuff be set off by that conjunction and the solstice energy. So some real, big waves coming in. Like if we were looking out at the ocean right now, those waves are getting, they've been pretty big this year, and big ones coming in. You can see a few big ones out on that thing. So you're a surfer, get out there, Anyway, so the Pluto Eris Square is our final one. It's been going all year, and Eris is object way out in the Kuiper Belt that definitely seems to have some say with what's going on in the archetypes, archetypal energy on Earth and in our solar system. And she is the goddess of chaos, and is in Aries, has been in Aries. It stays in Aries for over 500 years because she's so far out there. And you can see, just thinking about like the goddess of chaos in the sign of Aries, very individualistic sign, a sign that does not think before it acts, is very headstrong, impulsive, assertive, aggressive, warlike at times, violent at times, very energetic, very pushing forward the energy. So in square with that Pluto in Capricorn, which has been in Capricorn now for over 10 years, exposing the weaknesses of the systems that are within society, the structures of that society. We have been seeing so much in the last 10 years or so of the underbelly of the way society is, which is what Pluto does. It exposes that negative stuff. So what that has done at this point with this Aries square is the anger that you see on this social level in many countries, including the United States, of course, that's going on. There's so many countries right now that are in political and social unrest, and it's a sign of the times. It's like I said, Aquarius is going to be all about changing these structures of these societies over the next 19, 20 years. This Eris energy is this individual anger that so many people, all of us really, feeling anger about one reason or another about the way things are going down, and the complete chaos and disarray, and we're all like adding to that chaos and disarray. We're all, in that Aries way, have a very individual way of interpreting what all this, this exposure to this darkness means, and then we get upset, like we take on Eris, we become Eris, we become the goddess of chaos, we become the ones who create more chaos by jumping into the party, so to speak, and creating more drama with how we feel about that stuff. So this is an underlying energy. It's been going on all year, and it is peaking again right now. And this really in the United States, a lot of it is the post-election feelings and situation with the COVID virus and so many other issues going on here. And that's also in our lives. Like, where is, like, there are just like chaos been going on in our lives, and just like where we really like add to it when we get in there and get aggressive with where we're at, and yet this is all causing transformation to occur. That's what Pluto's all about. It's tearing down these walls, and Eris is not going to pull punches. She's just going to be like, let's just put it all out there, and if it means like a chaotic battle that's going on for a while, then that's what it means, until we can sort these things out. So some very interesting energy. Now, Sun and Mercury are getting real close together. Mercury, remember, was in Scorpio all that time in the fall, and it went retrograde, and now it's been coming back through Scorpio now for a while, and is almost catching up to the Sun. It went into Sagittarius last week. If you remember, that was really the biggest thing that happened last week. So Mercury's getting on the quick path now, and is like, catching up to the Sun. So that means any aspect the Sun makes, Mercury is going to make relatively soon, right afterwards. So this week they're both running into squares to Neptune, and that's definitely going to drive a lot of our week. On Monday, which is today, we have a couple, a couple little things. So actually, it's not too small. Pallas Athene, which is one of those 4 main asteroids, and remember, she's the archetype of the daughter. She's the chaste daughter. She's the female warrior with the sword who is fighting for justice, women's rights, anyone or group that feels that they have not been treated fairly on a social or societal level. Pallas Athene is their warrior princess, and she is looking to the future. She wants a more just and equal future, and so you can see how that energy, she's been in Capricorn with those 3 Capricorn planets the last few months. So she's been part of that, like that injection of what people believe that they think is right, what they believe is justice, what people believe. And it may not be the same belief systems, People interpret those things in different ways, but she's marching into Aquarius. She's going to lead Jupiter and Saturn into Aquarius with that sword of wisdom, sword of knowledge that she carries and cuts, leaves no prisoners, so she's going to lead us into this like great change that we're coming to, that to look at the humanitarian side of things, to look at the healing methods and to heal the wounds of like society. So very big shift there for Pallas and leading the way. And then also on Monday, Venus sets a quadrate Chiron. Kind of an interesting little aspect there. It kind of like is a little bit awkward with relationships. So, you may have like some forced separations and goodbyes, and, kind of like maybe the temporary pain that you feel in that. But it also can be the frustration and the tension of not being able to do what we normally do when we're relating to others for whatever reason. And for many of us right now in the United States, that's the COVID virus stopping us from being able to be socially active like we normally are. Okay, so Wednesday is the day the Sun squares Neptune. And so the Neptune energy is a diffuser. The Sun energy is very focused and pointed usually, so it's like the clouds come over the Sun, diffuse the rays of the Sun, and that's kind of a picture of what happens when Sun and Neptune get in an aspect that is a tough aspect, and there's a lot of confusion about the path you're on. There's a lot of like maybe events that have you questioning inside, your path, your ideals, the things that you imagine might happen. You may be all of a sudden seeing the shores of reality and those things crashing on the shores of reality. And then, like, you know, if we're not in the proper frame of mind, this can bring disillusionment. It can bring like depression, even, like, that, you can't really realize that you can't get that pure ideal to work for you right now. And so, like, a lot of people would choose to use different forms of escapism when Neptune comes in. Whatever, there's a lot of ways to choose to do that. A lot of ways to do that. So, we can, in the proper frame of mind, have some beautiful romantic type moments with life itself or with others. But the reality is, like, that's more of inside of us coming out. We have to realize that a lot of, how we really want things to happen with people and things in the world are really based on our ideals, and that's, they're going to be tested by the world. And if they're not, Neptune will, like, erode a lot of the stuff away. And so, like I said, it's really a lot having to do with our attitude, but it is gonna, like, feel like this confusing energy, this kind of like mellowing energy, passive energy, hard to communicate with others and be understood correctly, that kind of thing. So very interesting. And that same dude too, Mercury semi-squares Jupiter, which is interesting because, those two together have a big plan. They see a big picture, but when Sun Neptune comes in, you can guarantee it's missing a lot of the details to that picture. So that's where that semi-square comes between them. When you realize that, how much more you have to fill in to get from point A to B, that can feel like frustrating. But the good thing about the Mercury Jupiter is it does keep our attitudes positive and optimistic, and we can see the bigger plan, work towards the future in that. But yeah, a lot of energy just dissipating down that day. Thursday's a really interesting day. It's got like four things, and I discussed the Pluto Eris, which really, even though it's exact Thursday, this is something that we've been feeling all year. But the other three energies that day are interesting because they kind of a little bit counter one another, but, like, maybe there's a way to work with them, So first one is Venus sextile Neptune, and that's an interesting aspect. It makes us want to get deeper in our relationships with one another. Like, we want to get down into the deep stuff, but this is in a positive way. This is like, when in the relationships that you trust, the ability to take opportunities to bring it to a deeper level and get a real lot out of that. So really into our friends, really into our deeper relationships, really into, like, deep emotional input through our relationships. And also, it is a time where, newer relationships that started can be taken into, like, these really deep levels, could form some really good, long-lasting friendships under that aspect. But, at the same time, Mercury is semi-squaring Saturn. And, it's interesting with that one because it's like, that kind of, like, narrows the vision of the mind, and can even narrow it so much that we start looking at life like as if, the glass is half empty, and kind of take this pessimistic attitude, and that can, like, dull things out and even get us into, like, a depressed kind of state. But I was almost wondering if we could use that energy with the Venus Pluto because it's really good. That energy is really good for working on the details of things, for, just really focusing on intricate type stuff. It's got a narrow vision, but it can get a lot of work done on a deep focused level. So if we take that focus of the Venus Pluto sextile in the deepening of relationships or whatever we're into in our life experiences that day, Thursday, and like even Wednesday, Friday, and add that like focus of the Mercury Neptune of the mind and intellect to that, maybe we can really, get into some really narrow but like strongly built niches that are really fitting for us. The other aspect that day is Sun trine Mars, which is like, the energy booster, lots of physical energy to be able to be tapped into that day. Definitely great day to work on your projects that you're really, really into. Even better if they're like projects that other people have that same feeling with, because then the teamwork works really well. It's a really good aspect for team sports even. But like, if you can't find, something that you're really subjectively into to work with others, then just work alone that day on something you're really into, because that's the real main point of the drive of the energy of those two. They're egotistical planets, and they really need to be subjectively interested on like, 100% kind of level to like really use that energy in the best way. So if that's not something that you're doing with someone else, then, remove yourself and, focus on one of your projects. And it's a good time to reassess those projects. Like, where are they at? Are they actually like, going on the level? And if they are, you'll know, because things will be moving really harmoniously and smoothly. It'll be very effortless to get results. If they're struggling, then it's a great time to maybe reassess them and, put new things into them, give them a new boost of energy. Or it's even a good time to start new projects too. So Sun trine Mars that day, that's a good one. Friday, the sun, we start lining up the eclipse stuff on Friday, which is on Monday, and I'm not going to talk about the eclipse in this week's blog. I'll talk about that in next week's blog, and there'll be a lot to go over that for sure. But we talked about like, the Chiron and the Jupiter and Saturn changing signs a lot in the monthly, but really focus on that eclipse next week for sure, which is not until next Monday. So on the day of the blog next week, I'll really focus on that. So Friday though, things start lining up for the eclipse. The sun conjuncts the south node. And usually I think, this brings up the past somehow. Somehow the past is going to come back to you. It might be through a person, a place, a thing, a situation that's similar. It may call upon you to use like talents or abilities that you've developed over your life that are like gifts to like assist in a situation. Or it can bring in past groups, past projects, things like that. But it can be difficult to work with other people at this time. Again, at times it's just really difficult for groups to get along. So don't be surprised about that. And then Saturday, not much. Sunday is when Mercury gets to that square to Neptune. So very similar energy to the Sun square Neptune during the week. On Wednesday, kind of continues that energy. A lot of confusion in the mind. The mind's trying to figure out stuff. If it's trying to figure out stuff on a normal, linear, practical level, it's very difficult too with that diffusion of Mercury. It does the same thing to the mind, when it hits Mercury, Neptune, that it does to the sun or the body or the drive or the will, and that is diffuse it. So in the case of the mind, that means a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstood communications, seeing once again how our ideals are not able to really fit into reality well, despite how creative they may be. It's a struggle to get them, into a solid form. And yet, once again, a very imaginative mind, good for creative, imaginative energy. You might even be able to write and do some artistic stuff with it, but like really like, once again, it holds a lot of people's energy close. People may purposely hold info back, secrets, may even outright lie to you or deceive you, get you to go down another path. So not a good time to negotiate anything really. Really, they can have, once again, some beautiful moments and some great imaginative ideas that possibly can be used at another time or even then, but definitely not too in touch with reality. And then also Sunday, the sun sesquiquadrates Uranus, and that's just it's a pretty awkward one. I mean, it makes you feel like really like rebellious in a way, like wanting to push against anything that's holding you back. And maybe this is just going to be a reaction to this Neptune energy of just feeling just stuck about where you want to go this week, because Neptune's diffused so much energy. So maybe more like rebellious inside, angry, frustrated, and that may lead to some impulsive maneuvers at times that can be upsetting to others or to your environment. And it can be accident prone type stuff, impulsiveness coming from rash and quick to anger feelings because of just being an upsetting situation. So an interesting week. Definitely, there's a lot going on, and it's just going to get really peaking out the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I mean, I know it's been peaking out all year, but we got this it really is just an in-between ages and time, and we're all right in the middle of it. We're not getting to witness it from the outside, so we're all it's triggering things in people personally, it's triggering things in people's relationships, it's triggering people's relationships to the government and institutions and things like that. All that stuff, we're all feeling it. It's a shared thing. No one's gotten the get out of jail free card, so we have to ride these waves, and there's some bigger ones coming. So this week, with all that Neptune energy, a lot of stuff that we can tap into, imagine it with our imaginations, but they really need a reality check, and we really can't expect that our highest ideals are going to be met in the world of reality. That to even get them in there, which is what we want to do, it's going to take work. The challenge is there, it's going to take some work. All right. The podcast is available. The YouTube channel, I should say, is also available as podcasts on Apple Podcasts and on another podcast thing, and it's blanking my mind right now. But anyway, available as podcasts too. This is a free service. And really the best way you guys can pay me back is to just keep passing it on to other people that may have an interest in astrology. And if they see it and they like it, cool. If not, that's cool too. Sign up on the YouTube so that you get the notifications. I do some social media bombing. I miss people every week. So, you may miss it if you don't do that. And then classes are available too. I've got 4 beginning astrology classes that are available on Dropbox. I just give you the download. They cost $25 a piece, or if you're a student with a student ID, $20 a piece. And there's a beginning astrology. There's one on the elements and modes. There's one on the cardinal signs and one on the fixed signs. The mutable signs will be coming next. So you can use them as one-off lectures to learn a little bit more about something, like say you just want to know more about your sign or something, and you can just listen to that, or you can use them sequentially as a class to learn astrology on a deeper level. And of course, I'm available for all kinds of readings. A lot of people have a lot of questions these days, so if you need a reading, natal chart, a predictive reading, child reading, relationship, electional to choose the right time, horary because you got a question that you really need an answer for, all types of readings, fixed star readings to get your deeper soul purpose, all kinds of different readings available. Email me, matthue823 at gmail.com, and I will talk to you about the prices. We can set up a video conference or a phone call or a couple other different ways we can do it, and make great gifts too if the person wants to receive that gift. You know, it's a type of gift you should be clear that someone would really want that kind of gift. But yeah, so ride the waves of Neptune, you know, like this week. Some big ones coming in after that too. And we'll look at that eclipse next week. And until then, namaste.